My name is Acharya Shunya, and I was born in India 50 plus years ago. And I was karmically really fortunate to be born in a family that has been distinguished for thousands, yes, literally thousands of years in the heartland of India for being teachers of unique spiritual wisdom from a body of teachings known as the Vedic teachings. The Vedas literally represent the zenith of philosophy, of greater consciousness that emerged in India prior to all the religions that India has given to the world, which includes Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism, and Jainism. Well, the Vedic tradition is beyond religion because it is the conscious way of living. Literally, the spirituality connected with the Vedas is known as Sanatana Dharma, the eternal way to be conscious, and it's for all human beings. And my family has been propagating these teachings for 2,000 years because we are an old culture. We trace our family roots not just to a couple of hundred years, but to a few thousand. And my family has been mentioned in the Vedas too. And I found that I was born in this gregarious family and to a grandfather who I call Baba. Baba literally means affectionately the elder one, but his full name was Baba Ayodhya Nath. And as a child, I just saw him as a benign granddaddy with a big flowing beard and kind eyes. But as I grew older, I realized that he was a guru to thousands of people. He was a householder sage in the sense that he had a wife, he raised a family, he even held a job for a while. But more and more, his time was spent in giving spiritual discourses, uh, giving counseling to those who were suffering. And he offered Vedic wisdom in terms of the inner self being one with the supreme self, a non dual based paradigm where you don't feel separate from divine consciousness, but really just you may have forgotten it and you have to wake up to it. He was also a teacher of Ayurveda, the Vedic system of health and healing, getting popular worldwide, and also yoga that we are all familiar with. He had all these teachings. And then when I came along at age 9, he declared to everyone who would be there, and they'd usually be surrounded by hundreds of people, that this young Shunya, little Shunya, as he would call me, is going to grow up and lead our lineage in the 21st century. In fact, she will travel abroad and she will create great institutions of learning and awakening and embodying the light. Well, little Shunya didn't know what abroad even meant. I didn't know where I would be traveling. I didn't know what I have to do, but he patiently groomed me in the Vedic scriptures like the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, the Vedas themselves, in the teachings of Ayurveda, spirituality, philosophy, lifestyle wisdom, and yoga as an esoteric mystical path to greater self mastery of our own hidden powers and capacities. He was also the initiator of divine feminine wisdom in my being. Though Baba acknowledged that the divine reality cannot be limited to a name and a form, and is really formless and boundless and can appear to us in any form we want, human, male, feminine, mixed gender, animal, or human. But a really beloved way that he worshiped that ultimate absolute power was in the form of divine Mother Durga. Durga is a beloved goddess to the Hindus, and we have a temple to Durga in our several hundred-year-old ancestral home that has been built and rebuilt over so many decades and eras. And in this temple, I would be led by Baba to envision this great divine feminine mother the mother of the whole universe, in which entire galaxies dwelled in her being. And I was told that she dwells within me. And Baba's eyes at that time would no longer remain eyes that belong to a masculine body. I would experience Divine Mother talking through him. And I felt this transmission of Shakti or feminine power, because I love how in the Vedas, power itself is not just um, masculine or even neutral, it's feminine. It is meant to be collaborative, it is meant to forge a greater truth, a greater peace, a greater awakening at a planetary and an individual level. Power is a force of good, and it is one with the goddess, one with the divine mother Durga. And that was a great gift from this one special person called Baba in my life, because he not only mothered me when my mother died when I was only 10, for her own reasons, because she was born with a weak heart. Um, and she gave birth to children that she could not raise. So Baba gave us a lot of maternal love along with my father. So we had pretty beautiful childhoods despite the trauma of losing our mom young, I and my sister. But when I turned 9, he initiated me to formal study. He taught me Sanskrit, the language of the Vedic scriptures and the Vedic texts. He chanted with me. He lived a lifestyle that awakens health and awakens your consciousness. So he didn't talk so much as role model it. And he introduced me to the Vedic disciplines of Ayurveda, yoga, non dual teachings of Advaita, and ultimately the divine feminine teachings that have become my newest book, Roar Like a Goddess. And it is everyone's guide to roaring with power, roaring with pleasure and prosperity, and ultimately roaring with peace, because you can source your intuition and wisdom and your approval from within. All my books, be it my book on Ayurveda, which became an international bestseller and among top 10 books in alternative medicine in its year of publication, whether it is Sovereign Self, which was critically acclaimed and is being frankly called a masterpiece on on Vedic psychology and spirituality, on Hindu teachings from the Bhagavad Gita, made accessible for the modern human in a modern context of relationships and professional grasping and gasping and the suffering that we have from never being enough. To Roar Like a Goddess, I really owe all these books and all the insights I've had to Baba, a male who grew up in the 20th century India, still steeped in patriarchy, and yet he was such a feminine centric being. He was in touch with his inner feminine nature. He was fierce, and yet he could be gentle. He was powerful, yet it was always for the good of all. He was strong, but he could be accommodating when he discerned that it was time to be more tolerant, more patient. He really was a representation of how the masculine and the feminine energies within us can come to a great, beautiful, harmonic place within us. And Baba showed me that if each one of us can get a teacher at some point in our life, then we will not just be following scripts, but we would become the creator of our life, the um, the force that sustains that life. And then we would also become the annihilators of what's not working in our life. We would be rapidly destroying habits, addictions, patterns, and um, excessive, morbid attachment to anything that that's holding us back. Baba was my guru and has awakened my inner guru. And in our Vedic tradition, guru comes from two Sanskrit root words, gu and ru. And gu means darkness and ru means light. And a guru is one who informs us that we have enough light within us to overcome the darkness, the ignorance, the depravity, the disillusionment, and the disturbances and the distortions that are holding us back. And to such a guru, I feel grateful. And I really hope and pray that every embodied soul who has forgotten their own light shall encounter in some form of another a real guru. And in the Vedic tradition, a guru always speaks to us, is not just a photograph or a memory, and a guru guides us to the point of even pointing out to us um, the illusions and delusions that we may be holding on to. My guru was a truth teller, and he has formed me into a truth teller. He has led me into remembrance of my greater self. And to such a guru, I say, thank you.